Now, Buddhaya. We all know that forgiving is difficult, right? It is easier said than done. Now, even in forgiving, it is very easy to forgive for the mistakes that other people have done to us. But it is really, really difficult to forgive for our own mistakes, for the mistakes that we have done in the past, right? And so many people, most of us worry about the things that has happened in the past, about the things that we said in the past, about how we act in the past, how we lived in the past. And we get stuck in these mistakes and we waste a lot of time, right? But the Buddha teaches us a way to look at these mistakes and how to move on and how to move through them and how to grow through them. So from this video, we are going to discuss about how can we deal with the mistakes that we have done in the past and how can we correct them and how can we deal with them. So I want to share with you how the Buddha advised for the monks who have done mistakes and how they got the advice to deal with it. So the Buddha says, Buddhissa bhikkhu ariyassa vinaye yo achayang achayato disva yatha dhammang patikaroti ayathing sangvarang apajati. The Buddha says, for it is growth in the training of nobles to recognize a mistake for what it is, deal with it properly, and commit to restrain in the future. So the Buddha says the first step of understanding and first step of dealing with a mistake that has done in the past is to accept it, to see the mistake as it is, to see the wrong thing as a wrong thing. This is called acceptance. Now, one of the most difficult things for us to do is to accept that we have done mistakes. Why? Because there is something that hurt us in our mind, right? It is a really big problem, and that is nothing but the ego. We always think, okay, we are right, we are correct, and I will never do mistakes. But the reality is, we all are humans, we all have imperfections, we all have defilements in our minds, so that we make mistakes, right? There's a saying that says, as long as you make mistakes, you are human. So understand, you're a human and you make mistakes, and the nature of your mind is to make wrong choices, wrong things, and do the mistakes. For that, you're okay with it, right? So that you understand the nature of your life, that I'm a human and I make mistakes, so you accept it. When you accept it, you don't hate yourself. Now, the problem is not the mistake. The problem is worrying about it, brooding over it, holding on to it, and wishing that, I wish I couldn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. No, I wish I didn't act like that. So that we waste a long, long time, right? A valuable time that we can use to create something better for our life. So that the Buddha says, accept the mistake, right? Accept that you have done the mistake. Remember, acceptance is the first step of healing, right? Acceptance is the first step of healing, so that you don't hate yourself, so that you are not in war with yourself. Now you open up your mind to move on. So the Buddha says, see the wrong thing as a wrong thing, right? See the mistake as a mistake and accept that you have done it. So the first step of dealing with a past mistake or wrong thing that you have done in the past is to accept it. So after accepting, now what to do? The Buddha says, now reveal it to someone who can understand you, right? Confess it. How to do that? You find someone who can understand you, right? Who can give you a good advice and who doesn't judge you, and say to him that I did this mistake, right? This mistake was happened from me. Now, why should you confess it? Now, when you confess it, you're sharing what is inside you with someone who can understand you. Okay? There are many good things when you confess. One thing is that your mind become free, right? Because after doing a mistake, if a mistake had happened, one thing that keep criticizing us is our mind, ourself, right? So that understand, when you confess, you can free your mind, right? Your heart is not complaining you, so that you opened up yourself, right? That is one good thing that happens when you confess. And also, you get good advice from them, how to deal with it. Sometimes, for some problems, we cannot deal with alone, right? You don't have to deal with each and every problem alone, right? You can ask for help. One thing that it is really, really, really difficult to do is to ask for helps, right? But if we ask it, the helps will be given from the right people, right? That is why the Buddha says, do not go around saying your mistakes to everyone, but find at least one person, right? We all can find at least one person who can understand us, who doesn't judge us from our mistakes, and also who can give us good advice. Okay, that is the good thing about having noble friends around you. Okay, so the Buddha says, confess it, open up yourself to someone who is very wise and who can give you advice. And then the Buddha says the next step is to take right actions to not to happen it again, not to make that mistake again and again. So the Buddha says, Yatha dhammang patikaroti, I think sangvarang apajati. To be restrained in the future, to not to do that mistake and not to make that mistake happen again and again. And that is why they say that 100 times the same mistake is regression, right? If you do the same mistake 100 times, then there's no development, right? But 100 times different mistakes is progression, right? We will do thousands and thousands of mistakes in this life, but from every mistake, if we take the decision to not to happen it again, right? And you learn from it. And you will make mistakes again and again, but you learn from them. Understand that every difficult situation, every mistake that you make in life is a great lesson. But the problem is, we think that we should not be making mistakes, we should not be doing wrong things, and we think that we will be perfect forever. But in reality, we are not. So that acceptance, confession, and taking right action to not to it happen again is the way to deal with the mistakes. Understand, as long as you are human, I will say this again, as long as you are human, you will make mistakes. Accept them, confess them, and then take right action to not to it to happen again, so that you can learn from your mistakes and you can grow through them. Keep this in your mind. Namo Buddhaya.
Buddha considered the gratitude and the gratefulness as the mother of all the good qualities. In Mahamangala Sutta, the Buddha says, having a grateful mind is a blessing for your life. Okay, so how can we practice this gratitude? And what is the meaning of gratitude? Now, the word that is given to gratitude, given for the gratitude in Buddhism is called katanyuta. Katanyuta means the ability to remember what one have done to you. That means the helps that have done to you. If you can remember the people and the helps that you have given, okay, people have done to you, then that is called the gratitude. So how can we practice this? Well, you can be grateful and you can be thankful for almost everything in your life. Let's say you take your food plate to your hand. You can practice gratitude in there. How? You can be grateful for the people who made that food. Maybe your wife, maybe your husband, maybe someone who helped you. Okay? So you can be grateful for them. You can say that, thank you. Okay, genuinely you can say that, thank you. I'm grateful for you. Okay? Because of you people, I live happily and I live in comfort in my life. in every morning, okay, in every morning, take a little time to practice this gratitude in your life. Okay, wake up in the morning and say that I am thankful for my life. Okay, I am thankful for the people who lived around me, who helped me, okay, who was there with me in my life in the hardest times. And also in the same time, we can be happy about the tough times and bad people in our life too. Okay, so many people don't think about this, because we become grateful for the only for the good people and the good situations in our life. No, we can be grateful for the bad people and difficult situations in our life. How can we do that? Well, because of the bad people and because of the bad situations and tough situations in our life became so much interesting, right? Imagine if your life became all the things, like you got all the things you wanted, okay? And there were all the people who were good and nice to you, okay? You didn't face any tough situations in your life. There's nothing more interesting, nothing much interesting about your life. But because of the bad people and because of the tough situations and the bad days in our life became so much interesting, no? Because there's a story for us to tell. Okay, there is an interesting story for us to tell. That is why the more we face tough situations, our life becomes so much interesting. So we can be thankful for the bad people and say, like, thank you for giving me tough times. Thank you for giving me the ability to practice the patience and love and kindness and compassion for you because of you people. In that way, you can be, you see, if you think about it, you can be grateful for every situation and everything in your life. So every single day when you wake up in the morning, take a little moment to say thank you for everything and every person in your life. So keep that in your mind and practice this wonderful quality of gratitude. Namo Buddhaya.
Why most of the students feel sleepy while they are studying? Now, this has been a huge problem for all the students who are studying, including myself. I still can remember when I was at school, I used to fall asleep right after I get a book to my hand. Do you have the same experience? I think yes. Well, today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips you can practice to stay away from sleepiness while studying. So the same thing happened to a monk who lived in the Buddha's time. He was struggling with meditation, especially he was struggling with the sleepiness during meditation. So the Buddha gave him these 7 advices and 7 tips to practice to stay away from the sleepiness during the meditation. But these tips can be applied to our studies as well. So without any further ado, let's dive into these tips. Tip number 1, change the perception. Sometimes the reason for our sleepiness is not where we study or when we study, but what we study, right? Sometimes the meditation that we are doing, maybe the subject that we are studying is not vibing along with our mind. At that time, we feel boring and less interested. Once you feel boring, what is the normal reaction from your body? You feel sleepy, right? You feel that drowsiness within you. That is why the Buddha says, change the perception. Once you feel sleepy while studying or meditating, just change the perception. Change what you study for a little while. Let's say you're studying a subject and you feel boring, okay? You feel less interested. So what do you have to do? Change it to something that you feel interesting. Maybe a subject that you feel fun in studying, maybe you enjoy that subject, maybe it is your favorite subject, maybe it is your favorite meditation, okay? Once you do that, what happens to you is you're doing something that is enjoyable and enthusiastic, you feel that enthusiasm within you, then your body and your mind becomes active. Okay, once your body and mind becomes active, what will happen? Your mind will open to new things. Okay, so when you spend a little while in that enthusiastic activity, maybe studying, maybe meditating, okay, then you can come back to the same thing that you've studied earlier and keep on studying, because at that time we gave our mind a little jump start to be active. Tip number 2, memorize it. The Buddha says, recall what you have studied and memorize it and examine it with your mind. When you examine something with your mind, when you recall something from your mind and you wisely reflect on it, what happens? Your mind becomes active. Okay, because you need that focus and you need that activeness in your mind to memorize it. Once you memorize it, what will happen? You stay away from that inactiveness or inactive state of your mind. Then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. So what you have to do, whenever you feel sleepy or drowsy, just memorize one thing that you have learned or recall something that you have learned. That is one thing that we can do. Tip number 3, reciting. Now, reciting is one of the best ways to stay away from sleepiness during meditation and studying. Okay? Now, when you recite something or when you say something out loud, it activates your jaw muscles and your mouth. And also, when you recite something, you create those vibrations in your skull and it activates your brain. Okay, once your brain and your muscles are active, your jaw muscles are active, you feel some energy within your head. Okay, and then it will be very easy for you to study. And also, when you recite something, it gives that activeness to your body, and then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. That is tip number 3. Tip number 4, the Buddha says, pinch your ears and rub your limbs. Now, when you pinch your ears and rub your limbs, what happens is your muscles get a good blood circulation and your body becomes active. Once your body becomes active, then your mind becomes active. Then you will be less sleepy and you can stay away from sleepiness by doing this. So this is something that very simple that you can do to stay away from sleepiness. Tip number 5, the Buddha says, get up from your seat and wash your eyes with cold water and look at the night sky. Especially if you're studying at night, maybe you're meditating at night, right? If you feel sleepy, you can go outside and look at that night sky. Enjoy the nature, enjoy that breeze. Okay? Once you stay in the nature for a little while, you feel so much refreshed. And then you can come back to studying and meditation and keep on doing it. So nature can make our body so much refreshed. Keep that in your mind. Tip number 6, the Buddha says, focus on the perception of light. Now, most of the time, when we are studying at night, the reason for our sleepiness is the surrounding. Okay? Sometimes some people used to study in a dark room, maybe in the darkness, okay, while having a little light on them. Okay, the reason for our sleepiness can be the darkness around us, because when the darkness surrounds us, we feel like sleeping because it stimulates our sleepiness. Okay, because we used to sleep in the darkness, and then when there is darkness around us, it triggers our sleepiness. So what the Buddha says is, just when you study, focus on something that is very bright. Okay, focus your mind on something that is very bright and think that you are studying. Imagine that you are studying in the daytime. Okay, when you're studying, always try to study under a good light source. And also you can imagine to yourself that I am studying in the daytime. Okay, when you imagine it and when you have that perception of light in your mind, then you will feel less sleepy. Okay, so that is one thing that we can do to focus on the perception of light. And we have come to the final and the 7th tip, and that is, the Buddha says, do walking meditation. Whenever you are meditating, okay, or when you are studying, if you feel sleepy, if you feel drowsy, just get up from the seat and go and walk back and forth with mindfulness. Okay, focus on your bodily postures and bodily movements and go walk back and forth for a little while. Okay, it will activate your body as well as it will activate your mind, because we need a good focus to be mindful. Okay, once the mind becomes mindful, it activates our mind. So that is one way that we can stay away from sleepiness, to do the walking meditation. So, okay, so as students, you all can do these things. Let's say you tried all of these 7 tips and none of them worked for you. Okay, you still feel sleepy. Then what we can do? The Buddha says, if none of them worked for you, that means you really, really need a sleep. Okay, so that is why the Buddha says, then you can go to bed mindfully. Okay, being mindful about the posture that you are going to sleep, and you have to remember to yourself that right at this time, okay, maybe after 1 hour, I'm going to wake up. Okay, when you do that, when you remember to yourself that the wake up time, then it is very easy for you to wake up. And also remember, most of the time, the students enjoy sleeping, okay, more than studying. Okay, it is all about our priorities. When we give the priority to study, we can easily study. When we give the priority in our mind to sleep more than studying, then you feel more and more sleepy. So that is why it is all about what you give priority to. Okay, so remember, so if none of those 7 tips worked for you, just have some rest and then go back to studies or meditating. So these are the things that we can apply to our daily life to stay away from sleepiness during studying and also during meditating. So apply these things and see what works for you. Namo Buddhaya. How to have a better and a strong relationship with people. So today we are going to talk about this. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. So today we are going to talk about how to have a better relationship with people. Well, to start a relationship is very easy. Anyone can do that. But to maintain that relationship to a long time and to have a healthy relationship is a bit of a roller coaster ride. So, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us there are few things that you need to practice in your life to strengthen and make your relationship so much better. So there are 4 things. These are called Sanghavattu. They are the factors that strengthen our relationship with people. So when we are talking about relationships, our great teacher Supreme Buddha doesn't mention a specific kind of relationship, but he describes these qualities affects all kind of relationship. No matter who the person who you are relating to, if you practice these qualities, that relationship is going to be strong, healthy, and so much better. So what are these 4 kinds? Number 1, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us you need to be generous. You need to have the mind of giving. So what are the things that we can give to people? There are so many things. You can give materialistic things like clothes, money, jewelries, or gifts. So when you're giving these materialistic things, people become happy. So in a relationship, no matter who the person is, it may be your girlfriend or a boyfriend, husband or wife, or your parents, whoever the person is, you need to give something to them, right? You need to give gifts. Not only the gifts, but our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to give your love, your affection, your care, and your attention. Right? Don't hold on to these things. You should be generous in giving these things. So the first thing that makes your relationship so much strong and so much better is being generous. Number 2, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to speak kind words, pleasurable words. Everyone who lives on this earth likes to hear kind and pleasurable words. So what do you have to do? You need to speak kindly to the people you are relating to, right? Speak kindly to your mother, your father. Speak kindly to your husband or wife or your boyfriend or a girlfriend. So when you speak kind and nice words, their hearts become so much happy. So what you need to do, You need to speak kind and nice words. Be nice to them. Don't be rude to people. No one likes to be with rude and angry people. So what you have to do, speak kindly. And number 3, Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. What do you mean by beneficent conduct? You should be willing to work for the betterment of the other person, right? So when someone sees someone is working for the good of that person, he becomes happy. That relationship will be strong and more healthy. So what do you have to do? You need to work for the betterment of other people. You need to help them by your actions, from your body. Do something that makes them happy, right? Do something that makes them feel happy and nice about you. So what do you have to do? You need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. And the final quality, this is one of the most important qualities that you need to have. You need to have the quality of impartiality. Simply, it means the equanimity. You need to maintain an equal mind in ups and downs of that person's life, right? So many people break their relationships and leave people when they are facing hard times. So what do you have to do? Be with them, help them, be by their side, and become a strength to that person when that person is down in that person's life, right? So if you can be with people and if you can maintain the same mind in ups and downs in other people's life, that relationship is going to be so much better and so much healthy. So these are the things that our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that makes our relationship, interpersonal relationships, so much better. So practice these things. And also remember, a healthy and a better relationship is about 2 things. Number 1, accepting the similarities of that person. And number 2, respecting the differences of that person. So make your relationships so much healthy and better with the teachings of Buddha. Namo Buddhaya. I know it is very difficult to forget the past memories. I know it is very difficult to forgive yourself for the things that you have done in the past. But at the end of our life, at the end of our day, what we all need is nothing but just the peace in our mind. But in order to find that peace, we need to let go of that past memory, let go of that things that hurt us. But how? Is there a way to find that peacefulness within our mind? Well, let's discuss about it in this video. If you look at the past memories, I heard this nice quote about the past memories. It says, thinking about and worrying about past is like dragging a boat on a dry land. Okay. Now, where we can use the boat, we can use it on water. But if you try to drag that boat onto dry land and take it with you to wherever you go, what will happen to you? It will become a burden to you. It will hurt you. It is so heavy. And there is no use in the same place, right? You cannot use the boat on the dry land, okay? Holding on to past memories is also like that, right? There's no use of it, right? We're not letting that past memory to be in the correct place. We're taking it to wherever we go and every place that we go, and it will keep hurting us. So what we can do to forgive ourselves and let go of that past memory? Well, there are certain things that you can do. One of the most important things that you have to realize in this world is that not everything in this world is totally under our control. There are people around you, okay? There are things around you. There are certain things that is happening around you, but not everything Not every one of them is totally under your control. Okay? We have to deal with it, but it is not out, it is out of our control. How people treat you, you cannot do anything about it. How people think about you, you have no control over it. How people talk to you, how people behave in front of you, the things that is happening in this environment, in the nature, there are things that is out of our control. Okay? If we try and if you realize that this is the truth, okay, I cannot do anything about it, should I worry about them? Then you come to the conclusion that I don't want to worry about it because it is out of my range. Okay? So this is one reality that you have to understand. The world is not totally under your control. Why? Because we are so busy in our life trying to control the things that are around ourselves that are out of our control. Okay? So realize that not everything is under your control. And the next thing that you have to do is, this might surprise you. Now, a lot of people are trying to forget the past memory. Okay? I would say, don't try to forget past memories. Okay? Don't try to do it. What will happen if you try to do it? The more you try to forget something, the more it will haunt your mind. Isn't that true? Just do it practically, right? Try to forget something, it will come back to your mind. Okay? I would say, rather than trying to forget the past memory, I would say, let it fade away from your life. Okay? Let it fade away. How to do it? Fading away is happening with time. Okay? It takes time. It's something like healing a wound. Okay? To heal a wound, it takes time. Okay? So what we have to do is we have to give less attention to that memory. Okay? Now, most of the time, what happens in us is when past memories haunt us, we give so much attention to it. We give so much awareness to it and think like, this is the biggest tragedy in my life. This is the biggest mistake that I have done in my life. Now my life is worse. Okay? The more we give attention to something, it will grow. That is the nature of the mind. The Buddha said, the more you give attention to something, these kind of thoughts come again and again to your mind. So what we have to do is give less attention to it. But how? Okay. Now, so many of you say it is very easy for you to say that give less attention to it. But it is very difficult. I know it is very difficult. But there's one thing that we can do. We can identify that thought as a thought. Okay. Let's say these past memories, they are always the thoughts inside our mind. Okay. And also there are certain good memories and happy memories. All of them are just thoughts, okay? The only difference between these hurtful memories, past memories, and the good memories is the way we look at that thought, okay? The perspective towards that thought. If we can identify, this is just a thought, there's no difference, okay? It will come to our mind and this will fade away and this will pass away with the time. So I must give some time to my mind to let my mind heal. When you do that, the past memories will start to fade away little by little. Why? Because you are giving less attention to it. Okay? Then there will be a day that comes, then you come to a conclusion and you will realize that these past memories are no longer hurting you. Okay? In my life, I had bad memories. Okay. The reason why I'm telling this is because I've been in the same situation as you guys. Okay. There was so many past bad memories and mistakes that I have done in the past. But when we give less attention to that, it will fade away. Okay. Then you will be okay with those past memories. So that is what I have to share with you in this video. So just let your past memories fade away from your life. Learn from your past, learn from your tears, and let your tears water the seeds of your future success. Keep that in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Still, I can remember this incident. When I was little, when I was at school, one of my teachers came to our noisy classroom and she asked from us, "Do you know why you have given 2 ears and 1 mouth?" Then she said, "The reason why we have given 2 ears and 1 mouth is to talk less and to listen more." Ladies and gentlemen, when we deal with people in our relationship life, in your family life, in your workspace, if you have this quality of active listening, that can help you in many ways. This quality can help you in many ways. Okay? Now, so many people come to our temple and they talk with the monks with their problems and about their family problems, the problems in the workspace. And there's one thing that they all say, and that is, they say, they are not listening to me. They are not willing to pay attention to me. They cannot understand me. That is one thing that they say. So if you have the art of active listening, if you practice the art of active listening, you will be liked by many people, right? People always like to talk with someone who is paying more attention to them, right? If you consider about the Buddha, Buddha was a great listener. At one time, one man comes up to the Buddha and he starts insulting him, right? He starts blaming him. All through that incident, the only thing that Buddha did was he listened to that person, right? He paid a good attention to that person. And in another time, one lady comes with her son died on her hand, and she was wailing and she was lamenting in front of the Buddha. And the only thing that he did was, the Buddha did was, he paid attention to that lady's suffering, right? He listened to that lady's suffering. So if you can practice this art of active listening, if you can listen more and talk less, people will start to like you. Remember that. For an example, if you come up to me, right? If you wanted to talk about a problem that you are having in your life, and from the beginning of the conversation, if I started to give you instructions and give you the advice and my opinions about that problem, what would you feel? You will start to think like, this monk cannot understand me. He's not willing to pay attention to me. He's not willing to listen to me. So practice this art of active listening. So how can we practice the listening? Well, the Buddha said that all the words that we speak from our mouth is pre-processed in our mind. That means we think first all these words and then we put it into our mouth and we speak. So if we can be mindful about what we think, what is going on in our mind, then it is very easy to control what you speak. And then it is very easy to know when to speak and when not to speak. So this practice is called, being mindful about the thoughts is called Chittanupassana in Buddhism, right? For that, the only thing that we have to do is like just sit in a quiet place and just watch our thoughts, what comes to our mind. We don't want to react with that thought. We don't want to chase behind that thought. Just identify the thought as just a thought. That is one practice that you can practice to be a good listener. And also, there's another way to practice this listening ability is to engage in conversations and try to listen more to that person. So in the next conversation that you're having, try this out. Go to someone, and if they wanted to talk with you, just from the beginning of the conversation, tell it to yourself that I'm going to listen to this person more. I'm going to pay attention to this person more. That is one way of paying and showing your love and affection to the person that is in front of you, right? That is why lending a good ear and listening to someone and sharing their suffering or problems with them is one way of showing your compassion and love towards them. Okay, so in the next conversation, when you go through that, just listen more to them. Let them put out what is in their mind. And when they go silent, and then you have to ask some more questions. Tell me, how did you do that, right? How it happened, right? Tell me more about the details that happened. Then they will be more interested in talking with you, and they will start to like you and love you. When you practice this, then you will get used to this active listening. Okay? And also remember, do not listen to someone just to reply to them or just to give your opinion to them. Always listen to people to understand about their situation, to understand who the person behind these words, and to understand the intention behind these words. When you do that, then you will become an active and a good listener, and then you will be liked by many people. So that is all about the active listening. Be mindful about your thoughts and listen more than you talk. Keep that in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Some of you probably be wondering what is the meaning of this phrase is. Namo Buddhaya. Now, we oftenly say this phrase in all of our videos, right? So you probably be wondering what is the meaning of this word. Well, today we are going to learn the meaning of the phrase Namo Buddhaya. First of all, I must say the phrase Namo Buddhaya consists of two words, Namo and Buddhaya. So Namo means, let's take the first word. What is the meaning of Namo? Namo means may my homage to, or may my worship to. And the meaning of Buddhaya means to the Buddha. So in altogether we say may my homage to the Supreme Buddha. May my worship to the Supreme Buddha. So that gives the meaning of the word Namo Buddhaya. So why do we say this word oftenly? Now, as Buddhists, we have to respect to our great teacher, Supreme Buddha. He was the greatest person who taught us the reality of this life. So, as being grateful and as an honor to the Supreme Buddha, we use this word in most of the times in our life. When we are starting something good and at the end of something good, we say this, we remember this, right? So that is why we say the word Namo Buddhaya oftenly, right? So when we say the word Namo Buddhaya and when we mean it, it is not only we are respecting to the Buddha, we are respecting to his enlightenment, his realization, his teachings, right? So as being grateful and as an honor to the great teacher Supreme Buddha, we use this word in many times in our life. So if you are a Buddhist, you have to know the meaning of this word, Namo Buddhaya, and also you have to use it oftenly, right? When you meet one of your friends, maybe a Buddhist friends, you can keep your palms together and say Namo Buddhaya. Or when you start something good in your life, you can keep your palms together and say Namo Buddhaya and start it. In the beginning of the day, when you wake up, you keep your palms together, close your eyes, take a deep breath and say Namo Buddhaya, right? Remember your great teacher, Supreme Buddha. And it will give you a great pleasure and it will tranquilize your mind, right? So that is why we use the Namo Buddhaya word in many times in our life as Buddhists. So this is the way that we remember and we respect our great teacher, Supreme Buddha. So that is the meaning of the word Namo Buddhaya. So I hope you got some information about the word Namo Buddhaya. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm in one of our monasteries where it is situated in the hill country of Sri Lanka. If you are visiting Sri Lanka and if you're visiting Allah especially, this is a must-visit place where you can come here and do some meditation and talk with a monk and also breathe some fresh air. So today, in this video, let's talk about breathing meditation. Now, this breathing meditation is one of the most famous meditations in the world, where most of the people do it. So let's talk about this. How to do it, and what is the correct way, or what are the correct ways of doing it. So, breathing meditation, the Buddha called it Anapanasati meditation. Anapana means inhale and exhale. Sati means mindfulness. So, in this meditation, we become aware and we become mindful about our breathing. So, how can we do this? Well, according to the Buddha's instructions in the early Buddhism, Buddha says that you have to come to a seated position and you have to make your back straight and nice and straight. And then you close your eyes and you become aware of your in-breath and out-breath, right? When you inhale, you become mindful about I'm inhaling. And when you exhale, you become mindful about your exhale. So this is what you call the breathing meditation, basically. So how can we do this? Okay, so this is what we can do. First of all, we have to find the place where we feel our breath. Normally, we feel our breath at our tip of our nose. When we breathe in, we feel that air touching our nose tip, the hood of the nose, and then it goes in. And when we breathe out, we feel that air flowing out by touching this tip of your nose. So in breathing meditation, we focus our mind and we become aware of this sensation on our tip of our nose. The only thing that you have to do is to be aware of your in-breath and out-breath. The Buddha said, so satova asasati, satova pasasati. He mindfully breathed in and he mindfully breathed out. So that is what you called breathing meditation. But most of the time, people find very hard in breathing pattern and finding in this breathing pattern. One of the most frequently asked question is, should we control our way of breathing? Should I control my breathing? Should I intentionally breathe? This is an advice that we can give to those people who try to control of your breathing when you do the breathing meditation. If you're a beginner, right, if you're just getting into the breathing meditation, it's okay to breathe intentionally. Take some few breaths intentionally and take these intentional breathings until you feel familiar with your breathing, because most of the time we don't become aware of our way of breathing. No, we do certain things in life, like we live our day, but we are not becoming aware of our breathing. So it's okay to breathe intentionally by controlling your breath while doing the breathing meditation until you become familiar with the breathing. And then you should not stop from that. Then you have to find that natural way of breathing, right? You can be aware of the natural way of breathing. You don't force your breathing pattern. You just become aware of that. Okay. When you breathe naturally and when you become aware of your natural way of breathing, you can find that it is very soft and gentle. It's very slow. Then you're forcefully breathing in or not. Okay. So what do you have to do? At first, it's okay to breathe intentionally and control your breath. Do whatever you feel is okay, because
The most important thing is to getting used to this meditation. And then we have to step to the next step. Okay? And also remember, you don't want to force yourself to do these things, right? Do not force your mind and do not by force do the meditation. When we do the meditations, any kind of meditation, what is the purpose of doing that? What is the first purpose? Meditations are meant for calmness and peacefulness, You have to feel good and feel okay of doing them. But if you force your mind to do the meditation, then you don't enjoy that meditation. You will not enjoy that meditation. So what you can do is, do not force your mind. Sometimes your mind may wander here and there while doing the meditation. It will be distracted. It will think of a lot of things. But forgive your mind. Forgive yourself and take back that distracted mind to this sensation of in-breath and out-breath. Become aware of it. You can stay for a little while. Maybe you can stay for a little while, and then you will be distracted. But don't be discouraged. Okay? Don't give up. What you have to do is take back. Keep doing this. And when you get familiar and when you get used to this meditation, you will feel calm and peaceful. So this is the basic introduction and basic way of doing the breathing meditation. So practice it whenever you have time and feel that your mind becomes calm and peaceful. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. When you learn the Buddha's teachings, you may come across a certain word called merit. What is the meaning of this word? Now let's take a look at this Dhammapada verse. It says, Punyanche puriso kaira. Buddha says, if a man does a good deed, kaira teta punapuna. He must do it again and again, repeatedly. Tammi chandang kairata. He must delight in doing that. What is the reason for this? Is sukho punyasa uchayo. Because merit is a synonym for happiness. So that means merit is equal to happiness. So if we need to be happy in our life, we need to do merits. So what are the merits? The good things, the wholesome deeds, the virtuous deeds that we do from our body, from our mind, and from our speech. Okay, so that is the meaning of merit. So what are the things that we can do as merits? There are lots of things, good things and wholesome deeds that you can do in this world. There are thousands of it. But especially, Buddha says us, you must practice 3 streams of merit in your life. So what are these 3 streams of merit? They goes like this. The first stream of merit is called dana. Dana means giving or being generous. When you share your belongings with others, it is dana. It gives the merit, or it gives the good karma to your life. We collect good karma to our life. When we collect good karma to our life, according to the law of karma, if you do good, you will get the happiness in return. So when we give, and when we give dana, we get happiness as the result. Okay? That is the first type of merit, dana, being generous. The second one is sila. That means living a virtuous life, living a pure life without doing anything evil from your body, from your speech. That is called sila. It gives the merits to your life. You can collect good karma through that. And number 3, it is called bhavana, meditating. When you meditate, it is a stream of merit. It is a stream of happiness. So that is why Buddha told us you need to practice these 3 practices in your life. When you practice this, you get the happiness in return, right? When you collect good karma, you will get the happy results of that. And also, when you do these things, when you become generous, when you practice a virtuous life, when you do meditations, you can be happy about yourself. That is the most important thing, right? Most of the time, we become unhappy about ourselves. We become tired of ourselves. Now, that is an obstacle for practicing the Buddha's path. So that is why Buddha says, do good things, do wholesome deeds, do virtuous deeds, collect merits to your life, and it will make you happy. You can be happy by thinking about yourself. So that is why we need to collect merits to our life. Therefore, whenever you are possible, go out and do some merits. Help someone. Give something to a poor person. Help poor people. Become generous, right? Live a good life without hurting anyone, without doing any evil deed. Live a virtuous life. Then you will be happy. And also, whenever you can, do the meditations. It will make your mind peaceful and happy. So when you practice this merit, you will collect good karma. So whenever you are possible, you must be clever to collect a merit to your life at least once a day. Okay, so collect merit to your life, because merit is a synonym for happiness. Namo Buddhaya. We all know how difficult it feels when, after doing something or saying something, the same mind that forced us to do that action, the same mind that pushed us to do that action, turns back at us and say, why did you do that? Why did you say that? You shouldn't have done that. We spend a lot of time regretting about our past actions, the things that we have done or said in the past. It turns out 75% of people spend a significant amount of their lifetime regretting either about past or being fear about the future, right? So if you think that you're the only person who is regretting about the past actions, you are not. We all are. We all are in the same boat, right? So the Buddha realized that regretting over the past actions is one of the biggest issues when it comes to the peace of the human mind. So that is why the Buddha gives a straightforward answer for this question, how to stay away from regrets in life. The Buddha says, first, be mindful about your actions. And by doing something, if the result leads to suffering of yourself or suffering to others, stay away from doing such actions. That is the first thing to do, right? But how to put it into action? How to not to collect the things or to do things that brings regret to our life? So the Buddha gave us an amazing advice to practice this, amazing practice. Buddha describes this to his former son, Rahula. Before becoming the Buddha, he was a prince and he had a son. His name was Rahula. Later, he became a monk, right? And he gave this amazing advice to Venerable Rahula. The Buddha asked from Venerable Rahula, Rahula, what do you think? What is the purpose of a mirror? Then Venerable Rahula says, the purpose of a mirror is to see the reflection, to check the reflection, sir. Then the Buddha says, in the same way, Rahula, you have to understand that before doing something or before saying something, you have to thoroughly reflect on that action. You have to ask from yourself that this action that I'm wishing to do, will it bring suffering to my life? Will it bring suffering to others' life? Am I doing this action with an unwholesome mind? If the answer is yes, then the Buddha says, by all means, you have to stay away from such actions. Because the things that we do with an unwholesome mind, the Buddha says that the end result is the suffering. So the Buddha explains this in the first verse in the Dhammapada. The Buddha says, if someone did something with an unwholesome mind, suffering follows that person like a cart wheel follows an ox, right? So what Buddha teaches us is that before doing something or before saying something, just wisely reflect on it, right? Thoroughly reflect on it. What will be the consequence of this action? Is it going to hurt myself? Is it going to hurt others? Right? And then the Buddha says, when you reflect on your actions, if you found out that the actions that you are wishing to do will bring happiness to yourself, the actions that you are going to do will bring the happiness to other people, and if you are doing this action with an wholesome mind, by all means, do that, because that brings the peace and happiness to your life. So that is where the practice of mindfulness comes into play, right? Because in mindfulness, we don't do things mindfully. What we do is we become mindful about what we do, right? We understand why we are doing what we are doing, right? Most of the time, the reason why we collect regretful actions to our life is because we don't know why we are doing what we are doing, right? So the first step is to understand what is the purpose of this action? What is the intention behind my actions? When you become mindful about the consequence of such actions, then you can make a good choice to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life, right? So that is the first thing to do. The first thing is to be mindful and to thoroughly reflect on our actions and to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life. That is the first step. And then the Buddha realized that as an average person, you can't reflect on each and every action that you do, right? That mindfulness is not that developed enough for each and every person. So as an average person, we all will make mistakes. We will all do wrong things. Then the Buddha gave an amazing solution for this problem, for this regret. The Buddha says, if you have done something that is regretful, do not hide it. That is what Buddha says. The Buddha says, if you have done something, if you are regretting about a past action, if you are regretting about something that you have done in the past or said in the past, first thing you have to do is you should not hide it. Find a person who can understand you. The Buddha says that reveal it to your spiritual teacher, right? Find a person who can understand you, or reveal it to your spiritual companions, right? Find a community of people who can understand you, who does not judge you, who can give a good guidance to you, and reveal it to them, right? Do not hide it. Do not conceal it. Open it up in front of wise people. Now, there are two amazing things that happens when you reveal yourself or when you confess yourself in front of wise people. What are the two things? The first thing is that it free up your mind, right? It releases your stress and the tension and that negative energy that is building up in your mind, right? And that will lead to not to repeat this same action again and again. The problem with concealing and hiding a past mistake is that the more we hide it, the more there will be a probability for it to repeat. If you reveal it, then it frees up it releases your heart, right? And also it releases that negative energy that is building up within you. That is the first thing that happens to you. The second thing is that you will get a wonderful guidance, good guidance to overcome that action, right? You will get the help from the community around you, right? So the first thing is to not to do something that is regretful. That is the first thing to do. To do that, we need to build up the mindfulness, right? And to reflect on our actions before doing them. And the second thing is that if there are things that we are regretting about the past, we have to reveal it. You have to talk about it and let it out from your heart. So these are the two things that we have to do when it comes to regret. So the Buddha showed us that understanding the mistake as a mistake and accepting it and disciplining yourself to not to repeat it again will help you to free up your mind and bring peace and happiness to all of our minds. So that is why we all need, and it is very important for all of us to practice the mindfulness, practice the reflection on our own actions, and also to be brave enough to confess the mistakes that we have done in the past. So I hope you got some idea about this mindfulness and confession. So hope to see you in another video. See you in the next week. Namo Buddhaya.